XRP and Bitcoin truly taking over the financial system? I believe this in my heart of hearts. And of course, I put my money where my mouth is. XRP is my number one holding, and Bitcoin is my number two holding, personally and professionally for our company and our treasury. Now, why do I believe this? I think it's important to get into the facts, figures, numbers, logic. XRP simply is a technology that radically transforms the financial system. If you haven't noticed, we're in a liquidity crisis. There is so much trapped capital in the system through Nostro Vostro. So if you just look at the utility, it literally transfers the financial system as you know it. As information moves at the speed of light, technology moves at the speed of light, AI technology comes into all companies, you're going to need money to move at the speed of light. Pretty logical, as Warren Buffett says, buy good companies at a fair price. And I believe XRP is at a very, very, very fair price, and I buy it every single day. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is created by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009, some pseudonymous person, right after the biggest financial collapse in America. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa came together and verbally said, we're working to de-dollarize. Now, why would they want to do that? Well, because the US got a black eye. They saw that our banks were not being regulated, that a cat could get a loan, people with non-income stated. There was no complete sloppiness in America. So they're like, wait a minute, you're weaponizing the dollar on us, and you can just run your banking system. Just anybody can get a loan. So they started to de-dollarize. And then all of a sudden, Bitcoin evolves. Interesting. Fixed supply, opposite of the US dollar. 21 million goes for 116 years. Financial systems last about 100 years. And then about 2012, Ripple evolves. That's really interesting. And Rosie Rios sits on the board of Ripple, said, you need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. She's the 43rd Treasurer of the United States who signed the last $100 bill, responsible for bringing in new currency. Just logic, right? Well, Bitcoin has evolved when they told us to look this way. And I was in banking when they told us, look this way. And now, tomorrow's video, I'm going to show you Trump Media, one of the top holders in Bitcoin. That's really interesting. BlackRock, the number one holder in Bitcoin. JP Morgan now, eventually going to be do asset-backed loans. Bank of America is now allowing their clients to offer 1 to 4% their asset managers into Bitcoin. It's more about logic, right? You really have to think about where we're going. I don't use emotion in this stuff. I look back, I look at historical cycles, I look at historical patterns, and I decide what is going to be the top 3 or the top 4, because that's how it always goes. It's just a market cycle, guys. It's nothing new under the sun. There's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. And so over my crypto career, I've matured my portfolio. I don't chase hype. I don't chase hopium. I don't chase price predictions. I buy good companies, good technologies at a fair price, Warren Buffett style. I read books like this. I study financial statements. I learn how companies run. I run 6 companies myself, and I make calm decisions. I enter when it's red, and I sell some off the table when it's green, and I build an ecosystem. So in today's video, I'm going to break down a couple videos here. One where people can't really see what's happening because retail investors are caught in the emotion, but they can't see what's happening with the institutional adoption. Okay. Then we're going to go into looking at Ripple and how much they're going to dominate the financial system. Okay. They're taking over the financial system. Let's start with this video.
For those of us who have the luxury of being on the inside and seeing the incredible degree of onboarding that's occurring across finance, industrials, commercials, every company in the world now has to have a blockchain and AI strategy. If you don't, you have no hope of scaling.
Why do you think so many in the industry are optimistic that 2026 will be a big year for institutional adoption of crypto?
So the ones who are saying that are the ones who have more of an insider perspective on the types of companies that are onboarding. From the outside in, I can completely understand if you're just looking at sort of price action, distance from the industry. It's been pretty muted. It's been pretty stagnant for the last few quarters. This will be the first year out of 12 that Bitcoin will not be the best performing large asset class in the world, or maybe the second year out of 12. So I can understand some skepticism of that if you have just a pure price perspective.
It's important. Listen.
For those of us who have the luxury of being on the inside and seeing the incredible degree of onboarding that's occurring across finance, industrials, commercials, every company in the world now has to have a blockchain and AI strategy.
Has to. And thank you to Altcoin Daily for posting that video. All right, so let's dive into the next video here. This is CNBC, says Morgan Stanley is the first major US bank to file for a Bitcoin ETF. I thought Bitcoin was going to zero, guys. Thought Bitcoin was going to zero.
I think that Morgan Stanley being the first big US bank to take this step to file to launch its own ETFs is a huge endorsement. So we've started to see this comeback of institutional cash just in the first few trading days of the year. Finally, the surge in spot Bitcoin ETFs, which were net outflows for the last few months of 2025. And what this really signals is that Morgan Stanley, for one, has been the most progressive. They put
Morgan Stanley, one of the largest banks in America, applies for a Bitcoin ETF. Okay. So this is a great interview. I highly recommend you go to Paul Barron's podcast. It's Forget Speculation. The $1 trillion shift to XRP Treasury starts now. Okay. So this is Ashish. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Ashish Burla. He is from Evernorth, right? That's the XRP Treasury. Check this out.
Why XRP? What was the goal here?
Well, one, I'm definitely familiar with XRP. But, it's been, the backbone of a lot of the products that I've built in the past. Hey, listen, like a lot of the first properties that you heard of around XRP, it's fast. It's built for payments.
Right.
It's got a liquidity engine built into it via a decentralized exchange. By the way, this was 2012. Now you're seeing copycats, 15 years later. The XRP was built for institutional grade products, for real utility. You need more than a digital asset to make it work for the global FX market. You need more than a digital asset to make it great for payments. And that combined with the regulatory clarity around XRP, I made it a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't know how else to convince people how dramatically XRP is going to change the financial system, right? I came from the banking sector. I understand regulation. I went to CBA Executive Banking School on the retail side, right? We learned how to scale banks. Regulation is a massive part. I don't care how great your technology is, how great your crypto is. If you don't have regulatory clarity, it doesn't matter if you walk in with a magic pill. Their job is to protect the bank, the regulatory clarity. If you have regulatory clarity, they'll entertain your innovation. Not only, like you said, they've been around since 2012. People are trying to copycat them. They have regulatory clarity. Okay. But I want to kind of bring you guys back and keep you calm, keep you stoic, keep you long-term. But guys, remember, these are all the key acquisitions that Ripple has made. And they did another acquisition in regards to regulation just recently, yesterday. They have Metco, 250 million, Fortress Trust, regulatory tech, keyword, keep hearing regulatory, Standard Custody and Trust Company, Palisade, GT Treasury, which was massive, a treasury management company platform integrating with traditional and corporate finance, Ripple Creator Fund, Fortress BlackRock Technologies. Okay. Then we know the GT Treasury was massive. Ripple breaks into corporate treasuries with 1 billion GT Treasury acquisition. Okay. Then this was announced yesterday. Latest, Ripple's GT Treasury acquires Solvexia to expand automated reconciliation and regulatory reporting capabilities. Guys, they are dominating not only in the aspects of treasuries, liquidity, regulate. That's the key, the regulation. Oh, I didn't switch that over. Sorry. Got really excited here. The key is the regulation part of it, guys. That's what you need to understand. Yes, it's a banker token. People are telling me this is the funny part about this but this is more information around that. Ripple Solution today announces acquisition of Solvenex, a leader provider of non-code financial automation, data management, analytic solutions. The acquisition expands GT Treasury's platform into automated reconciliation and regulatory reporting across treasury, finance, compliance, and operation, addressing one of the most persistent challenges facing financial firms: manual, spreadsheet-driven processes that increase operational risk. So now they're dominating the risk category. And if you understand banking, risk is everything. Everything, guys. Absolutely everything. If I could just really dial that in for you guys, okay? So as I study Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Ray Dalio, Kathy Woods, Robert Kiyosaki. Now, my main focus is Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, right? I love their stoicism. I love their calmness. They buy good companies at a fair price. They don't buy bad companies at a good price because they always lose, right? So one of the areas of caution I have for you is the markets are going to go green and bullish in 2026. Everybody's going to start coming out with the next best crypto, right? You really have to think about what you're investing in. Number one is you need to be in your zone of competency. I understand digital assets and I understand banking. So obviously XRP would be my number one holding. Number two for me is Bitcoin. Okay. I understand the mechanism of Bitcoin. I understand inflation. It's one of my expertise is understanding and teaching people how to beat inflation through my capital DR strategy. This is what's really important too. I do my investments based on the massive economic cycle that's happening, not off emotion, not off hype. I'm doing this to protect my family because cash is absolute trash. So when I think of an investment, I ask myself, is it going to be here in the next 10 years? Okay. Number two, what is the mechanism? How does it work? If I don't understand how it works, I'm not going to invest in it. Okay. Now, I don't need to be like, for example, someone could destroy me on a podcast or like a debate around the intricacy of technology and things like that. I understand how companies operate, right? I understand, will a company survive or will they not survive, right? I also use logic. Like Warren Buffett does not know he just learned how to use a smartphone. What's one of his top investments, guys? Use logic. Apple. Okay. Now, Coca-Cola, he has Coca-Cola in his office. He drinks it every single day. Okay. But he's using logic. Logic will outweigh spreadsheets and financial courses and all this stuff. Logic would say that Ripple, the company who's been around since 2012, who beat the SEC, who is literally being integrated all over the world in financial institutions. Countries around the world are loving Ripple. Japan loves Ripple, right? XRP, the technology, fixes a massive, massive, massive issue for the liquidity crisis within the world. It's like, logically, I think it's a good bet, right? But you have to understand that. That's the key to this. And then the other key to this is patience. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And the issue with the cryptocurrency industry is the get rich quick, is the hype, is the hopium. That's how people get destroyed. But if you go back into a biblical sense and a spiritual sense, you don't want the fruits of something that you haven't planted the seed for. You will get destroyed. Study Richest Man in Babylon, the wisdom of King Solomon. You have to plant seeds. You have to till the ground, the bamboo farmer, right? Eventually it will bear fruit, good, bad, or indifferent. So what you should be doing is creating a system, okay, that is disciplined, that is consistent, that is predictable. Okay. A system isn't, I'm going to buy this crypto because somebody convinced me that it's going to do very well. And I hope that that will save me. That is the greatest way to destroy your family physically, spiritually, and financially. Because if you're not prepared, if it does happen, if you're lucky enough to pick something that does go parabolic, if you're not prepared, your house is going to crumble. Okay. Because $1 million will not make you financially free unless you have an ecosystem that you can multiply that like Richest Man in Babylon. Okay, so this is exactly how I do it here, okay? I use cash flow, okay? Capital DR is my system. It is a trademarked system. Cash flow, cash is trash, okay? I take my income and I turn it into cash flow, whether it's dividends, businesses, whatever it is, I take my earned income, I'm always creating more cash flow, okay? Outside of debts and non-negotiables, okay? My disciplined, consistent activities, which is right here. Let me show you this, the financial ecosystem here. So this is my disciplined activities, my daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. So I have the cash flow, appreciation, protection, and there's small incremental things that I do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, quarterly, and then I use leverage as my own bank, okay? That's discipline. There's no emotion in that. Every single Monday, I do the same thing. Every single Friday, I do the same thing, okay? So cash flow, income from active income and passive income from dividends or passive businesses that come in, I transmute it into appreciating assets. Now, you need to decide what appreciating assets based on your zone of competency are going to beat inflation. That's what you need to understand. Okay, at 2 to 3% inflation every 35 years, the value of your dollar gets cut in half, and they're about to make your money worthless. Okay. So think about this. If you want to keep it simple, if the dollar is going to deflate, it's backed by nothing. America's at 120% debt to income ratio. Okay. And you know that Trump is going to print a ton of money in a low interest rate environment. You know for a fact your dollar is going to be worthless. So what are a couple things that could preserve your wealth? Gold, silver, maybe real estate, right? Over the time, it'll appreciate. What's your zone of competency? XRP is a fixed supply asset. Deflationary by its utility. Bitcoin. You got a lot of options that you can choose from. But do you see what I'm saying? We're diving in, we're understanding, we're asking ourselves, why do you think silver's in an all-time high? Why do you think gold's in an all-time high? Why do you think cryptocurrency over the long term and Bitcoin's beat every single asset class over the last 10 years and the elites are stacking Bitcoin? It's because they understand the economic cycle. They know that the dollar is going to come, I wouldn't say collapsing down. The difference is it's transitioning into stable coins. The system is going to be on an even playing field. We can transact with each other, guys, outside of the system now. They know that. So they wanted to fear you out of that system while they set it up and they got the infrastructure built so they can participate in the system. That's just how it works. Who do we pay our taxes to? Who's on the coin? Caesar. Pay your taxes to Caesar. Give to God what is his. Give to you. There's too many conspiracies and all this stuff. It's not always a conspiracy, guys. It's not always the government. It's you. It's you understanding that it's nothing new under the sun, that this has happened over. And they were clipping our coins in the Roman days, guys. It's not different this time. That's what I'm trying to teach you. It's not different. The difference is the person that creates a system. The 1% will always remain the 1% until you learn how the 1% is on the right side of the interest quadrant. You're paying it or you're earning it. That's it. There's no emotion. So I move cash flow into appreciating assets. When they appreciate, I'm not attached to these assets. Bitcoin will stay in leverage. We're never going to touch it. It's family bank. Okay. I take money off the table. Even XRP. Yes, I'm going to pull profits. I pull profits. I keep a moon bag in there. I keep 50% of all my cryptos in there. Besides the Bitcoin's 100%, I move that into protection. When the policies are max funded, there's my family bank. I'll take 10% of that. I buy more cash generating dividends and I'll store the rest of it in a stable coin to earn some interest, right? Always making money on my money. The interest income will go back into assets. Okay. Now we have a leverage component. On the crypto side, do not leverage your crypto. Do not listen to anybody that is telling you to leverage your crypto. It's way too volatile. There'll be another 10-10, 2025. Trust me. You need to wait until it's less volatile. Unless you have plenty of money to right size that loan, or unless you're going very low margin. Okay. Give you an example. We used Bitcoin, April last year, to buy our insurance brokerage. Okay. We started our own, we broke off from an IMO. We created our own insurance brokerage. We built Freedom Insurance LLC, which is a small insurance brokerage where it's, we built a small little team and I developed my own brokerage. And so basically I took Bitcoin, I put it onto Salt. I did a DeFi loan and I only took 25% of my overall Bitcoin. So the margin was really small. Then they gave me 70% of the 25%. So there was no way I was going to get margin called. If, God forbid, Bitcoin came collapsing down to $9,000, $10,000, we had the money on the side to right size that. And that's the only reason we did it. And we paid it off in 6 months as quick as possible. That was our main goal with me and the owners. It was like, let's pay this off. And we just attacked it. Boom, 6 months, it was paid off. And so we bought our insurance brokerage with our own money at 14% interest when Bitcoin grew 50%. Okay. Does that make sense? Now, I guess that would be a lie. It didn't grow 50% during that time, but we borrowed our own money. We grew it enough within that timeline. I don't know the exact number, but over time it grows 50% every year. So the math is not exact on that. My point is we used our own money to buy our own asset that paid it off. On the insurance side, okay, if you have cash in there, you're leveraging with no liquidation risk. At 5%, I can go buy an asset that grows 50% every year, sit tight for the next bull market, goes up, pay off the loan. I got free Bitcoin. I got free XRP. It's called currency for a reason. It needs to move through the system. It needs to move through the system. So your job is to start to develop a model when you get the large amount of liquidity and start to develop a system, right? So as you get older, your job is to protect preserve your capital, okay, and create cash flow. So I'm turning 50 in a couple months here during what I believe is going to be a parabolic move on the in 2026 as crypto goes up. So I'm going to create my first annuity. Okay, so I'd have my cash generating businesses, which is my income engine. I have my dividends, which are paying cash. That's passive. That would be another income engine. And then I'm going to start creating my first annuity so I have income for life. So that by the time I'm 60, 10 years from now, I'm planning my ecosystem. I'll have annuities that have cash for life that support the lifestyle. Then I have the income engine that will keep feeding assets to continue to build legacy. And then within cryptocurrency, I'll have my DeFi, I'll have things staked, I'll be doing lending. So I'll have DeFi cash flow, I'll have dividend cash flow, and I'll have annuity cash flow, which I can never outlive. That's how winning is done. You need cash flow. You don't need to store cash. You need assets that appreciate and you need to pull profits. Don't watch it go up and go down. So that's how I operate, guys. If you need any support at all, we have our whole ecosystem set up. I also want to remind you, gosh, I keep forgetting to talk about this. My bad. My team's like, you need to share it. Hold on one second. Let me put this back on here. This is a Freedom Conference. So this is coming up in 1 month. We still have tickets to the main event. So February 7th, there's still tickets to the main event. You get to hear our amazing speakers here. We are teaching this framework in detail, guys, in person. Okay. It's in Mesa, Arizona. We have 22 days, 14 hours and 51 minutes left. So if you click the description down below of my social media, whatever this is, YouTube down there, or click my social media platform, maybe we're watching this on Twitter. You can get tickets now. You get to hang out with me live. You're going to go through my whole Capital DR system. You'll be part of our ecosystem and get to tap in and tune in. So get your tickets now. Very reasonable price. If you are, we have people from all over the world in our academy. You can do the online event as well. It's $199 to watch the whole thing online. It's going to be an amazing event. So I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you, or I'll see you online. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Let's go.